Welcome back to GLASP Deep Dive, short takes on the long reads worth your attention. I'm Hope.
And I'm Adam. Today, 4 AI labs all shipped basically the same product in a single quarter. OpenAI, Perplexity, Google, Anthropic each launched a deep research agent within weeks of each other. That doesn't happen by accident.
And this is the article pulling the most search traffic of anything we've published. So the demand is real. The question is, which one you use? And the answer the piece lands on is refreshing. There's no single winner. You build a research stack.
Let's hold that, because it's the payoff. First, why all at once? Early 2025, OpenAI announced deep research on February 2nd, and within 6 weeks, Perplexity had its own version plus an API. Google sped up Gemini, and Anthropic packaged Claude's research feature.
So what changed? 3 things came together the year before. Context windows crossed 200,000 tokens, so the model could hold a lot more at once. Tool use got reliable, and the agentic loops stopped silently dying halfway through a task. It was the first consumer app where all 3 felt worth paying for.
But let's define the thing, because people confuse it with regular AI search. You type a question, you get an answer with links. How is this different?
Chat search runs 1 or 2 queries and synthesizes the top hits in seconds. A deep research agent does what a junior analyst does over an afternoon. It breaks your question into sub-questions, runs dozens of searches, reads full pages, follows citations, and revises its plan as it learns.
So ask Chat Search for the critiques of some economic theory. You get 3 tidy paragraphs. Ask a deep research agent, and you get a 15-page report with the history, the debates, the recent papers, each with a source you can click.
Right, and the trade-off is time. Anywhere from under 3 minutes to 45. But that's the point. You queue one up, go do something else, and come back to a report that would have eaten half your day by hand.
So let's go through the 4, but by role, not spec sheets. OpenAI's the heavyweight. Slower runs, often 15 to 25 minutes, the longest reports, deeper reasoning on ambiguous stuff. The catch is the cap. On the $20 plan, you get around 25 runs a month, and heavy users burn through that in a week.
Perplexity's the opposite end, the speed champion. Most runs finish in 2 to 3 minutes, shorter, more encyclopedic reports. Great for a briefing rather than an essay. And it's the only one of the 4 with a real pay-as-you-go API.
Then Gemini, the workspace play. It pulls from your Gmail, Drive, and Docs alongside the web. If half your source material already lives in Google, that integration is the whole game.
And Claude's the patient one. Runs regularly hit the 30 to 45-minute end, and the output reflects it. Long, nuanced, good at weighing contradictory evidence instead of picking a side too early. And the big context window means it doesn't drop sources on large jobs.
Okay, the benchmark question, because everyone wants the number. Which one is most accurate?
On the hardest public benchmark, the one near the edge of what experts can answer, OpenAI led at launch with mid-20s%, around 26.5%, versus Perplexity around 21%. Google and Anthropic didn't publicly report a score.
26% sounds low for something everyone's hyping.
Because the test is brutal by design. It measures synthesis on genuinely hard questions, not whether the tool is good at the work you actually do, which is usually, compare these 5 products, or summarize this debate. There, the gap is much smaller.
What about plain factual accuracy? Hallucinations are the real fear when you're going to cite this stuff.
That's Perplexity's strong showing, around 94% on the short-form factual test. But the real point is this. Benchmarks are suggestive. Your own test is decisive. Run the same prompt through 2 of them on the free tier and compare.
Which brings up the obvious one. Is any of this genuinely free?
Sort of. Perplexity's the most generous, around 5 runs a day. OpenAI gives you about 5 a month, enough to evaluate, not to rely on. Gemini's free access is limited, and Claude's research feature is really pro-only. So the free tiers are real, but narrow.
So how do you actually route a job? Lit review goes to Claude, market sizing or competitive intel to OpenAI. a quick cited briefing before a meeting to Perplexity, and anything leaning on your own documents to Gemini.
And that's the thesis right there. No single tool wins, it's a stack. The author runs the same prompt through 2 agents for high-stakes work, about $40 a month, and the combined output beats any single tool.
There's one more piece almost no comparison mentions. The report the agent hands you is not the output of your research. It's the start of the work, not the end. Read it once, skim the conclusion, close the tab, and you just paid an agent to summarize something you didn't actually learn.
So the fix is the old one. Annotate it. Highlight the claims that matter, flag what to verify, reuse those highlights later. The report is raw material. Your understanding is the output. That's the workflow GLASP is built for.
And does deep research replace regular search? Because that's the question I always get.
No, it's a complement. For a quick fact, search is faster. Deep research earns its keep when you want a structured, cited report on something that'd take you 30+ minutes by hand. Most people use all of it.
So don't build your 2026 research workflow around a single tool. Build it around a stack, and make the last step the one where your own thinking gets recorded.
And the cheapest way to test it is free. Run 1 real question through 2 of the 4 this week, highlight both reports, compare what you learned. Everything else is a feature list.
Honestly, the most useful hour you'll spend on this all year.
Want to go deeper? Full articles on glass.co. Just search Deep Research Tools Compared.
See you in the next deep dive.